back to another episode of Let's Talk About Web3. We are on season 3, episode 9, and I have an amazing special guest today, Tyler McNair. Welcome, Tyler. Appreciate you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. I truly appreciate it. I'm excited to connect with you again. It's been too long since we've caught up, and
I know.
I've been working a lot, and always having a good time, and excited to be here and share with you.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate that, Tyler. As always, we'll start off with a little bit of gratitudes. This week, I'm unbelievably grateful for having people to lean on because today realized that I made it a little bit of a boneheaded mistake and was, a little bit frantic about it, not in the best mental state, and called a couple of my, support system and people that I lean on. And, they were able to help me out with logistics and like emotionally like being regulated. And that really helped out. So I'm grateful for that, the ability to have people to lean on and the ability to push that more. Yeah, we'll kick it over to you, B.
Absolutely. I'm grateful for December, man. I'm a December kid, December baby. Winter's always fun. So I got this like full new burst of energy, and I'm ready to just tackle the year end. So I'm excited for December for sure, and thankful. Tyler, what about you, man?
Always grateful for the opportunity to create every day. I'm grateful for family. And I live in a place where there's 4 seasons, and December brought it on full force. We got tons of white powder snow covering the ground, getting out, taking some photos, touring the land, and just enjoying the briskness of the air. It's been it's a good start to winter. Hopefully it's a short one.
Yeah, I don't know much about that out here. I'm in LA. I've been in LA for almost a decade, so yeah, I don't miss
awesome.
the snow too much.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the snow. I am ready. We need it to snow on over here in Maine. I'm getting into my first season ski patrolling here in
cool.
near our mountain. After ski patrolling a bunch before in Portland, and that was a lot of fun. I'm now gonna try and learn snowboarding and get good enough to pass the test on a snowboard. So I am personally excited for the snow, but we don't need to get it too much into that. I definitely want to ask you, Tyler, just to introduce yourself, give us a little background on who Tyler is, and how did you enter this wild world of Web3?
Right. Well, my name is Tyler McNair. I am an artist, photographer, game developer, creator, to the sense of this is my opportunity to say I was here, and I did that, and check it out. It's pretty cool, and wasn't always an artist, kind of found that confidence to pursue it in my 20s probably, and just dove into art actually through disc golf, which was kind of a random place to start, but started doing art on discs and apparel, and doing art for tournaments and branding and running tournaments and traveling the country photographing and filming events and things like that, and that transferred into me wanting to pursue it even heavier and learn more. And so I went to school for animation and design, and was pursuing wanting to be me, full force, create what I want to create in my way, show the world what it is, and create a living off of that. And but throughout all that, and before that, I had some head injuries that have sort of set the path for my adult life, and some experiences and struggles with living with suicidal depression in multiple stages throughout, and not quite understanding how to cope with it, how to manage it. And at a certain point, this was 2016, I realized that this art wasn't sustainable for me at the time, at least on my own. And so I gave it up. I stopped. I said, you know what? I'm going to work as a designer. I'm going to work as a photographer, but I didn't quite get how to push my art and create a sustainable business out of it. And the years leading after that were a struggle for me. I lost my eldest brother during that time. I went through another midlife kind of suicidal moment that I didn't understand why it was there, because I had a lot to be grateful for. You know, I have 2 amazing kids, a beautiful wife, a home, shelter, food, water, everything you need to be happy, right? It was there, but I wasn't feeling it and I didn't understand why. And I told myself, if I ever figure out how to get out of this, I want to help other people that are going through this too, because no one deserves to feel like this. And you're not alone with what you're feeling, right? Like if I'm feeling that, somebody else has it far worse than me. I can't imagine what they're going through, you know? And so come along, Web3 kind of hit me at the same moment where I was going through this self-discovery of trying to figure out, do I love who I am and how can I love who I am? And realizing that necessity for creativity in my life, the necessity for me to pursue art in the sense that there's something in here and in here that I need to get out there before that moment is gone and before the opportunity is gone. And I didn't know when or how that was going to take place. And you talked earlier about support system, and a really good friend of mine that I'd always wanted to work with, big mentor in the art and design space. His name's Neil. He goes by Digital Creator. He reached out to me in 2021 and he's like, hey, have you heard of NFTs? And I know everyone watching this has had that moment where someone comes up to them and asks, hey, do you know about crypto or do you know about NFTs? And I'm just like, yeah, I've heard of them. And he's like, and we got into the conversation and he's like, if you do the art, I'll do the coding, let's go. And so I was like thinking about it. I took maybe a day to think about it. And I was just like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. I have the perfect piece to build off of and to do a collection. It's the Skull of Tiger collection here. I got it on my shirt here. This was the original. It had a bigger full background. But the whole concept of it is based on how fear, stress, and anxiety with the need of social acceptance alters our identity, how we lose ourselves, our true self, and we start showing up in all these different aspects of our life in the way that we're supposed to, or that we feel like we need to with those people or at this job or, with family or with friends. You're always changing who you are to feel safe and to fit that space. And I wanted people to be able to acknowledge that that's there, but then also live confidently as themselves, and know that, by showing up as you, you're going to get much more out of this life than by hiding. And the internal dialogues that are taking place, the stories you're telling yourself, all of that is, we are so much, we have so much power over depression internally, and we don't realize it because of how we talk to ourselves. And so I started the Skull of Tiger collection was the first one that we were going to put out, and we still haven't yet after 4 years, but it's because it's the intensity of it, right? I'm trying to build the most complex, creative NFT collection that is ever going to exist. There's going to be 60 plus traits per NFT, and each one is going to be completely unique and tell a different story. And there's going to be a lot of them. And so we knew that after a couple months in, like, hey, this is going to take some time. We need, we're not, rich and famous. We need time to develop. We need time to grow. We need time to learn and understand the space. And I have a lot more artwork as well that I wanted to share too. And so when I started, at that point, I started streaming live, and it was a big step for me because I didn't even like taking a selfie. I didn't like the mirror. And so to put myself out there and to put my process out there was a very vulnerable thing. And it took a lot for me to do that. And I realized I needed to, because if I'm going to put all this work out there and expect people to put their money, towards it and understand the community and the connection and all that, I need to show them how it's being created and the time that it's taking. Because if I just disappear for 4 years in a dark room drawing, you're not going to understand it, right? And so I started doing live streams, and at the same time I realized I need things to fill time in between, right? If I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours and hours, like some of these illustrations for Skull of Tiger collection, one piece might take me 60, 70 hours to complete, and so I had some other work that I had done in the past as well. One of them was an awesome Viking shield. And I was like, this is cool. Let's add more and let's make a collection out of this. And so we called it Nordic Glory. We produced a bunch of shields. It was our first generative mint. It was a learning experience to build out a generative mint, to put the collection out, to see it fail in the first week and not do very well, and stick with it and not go the generic degen route of, hey, we only sold X amount in the first couple of days, this mint's a failure. No, this is something we need to work for. We need to build. We need to put it out and continue to share it. And I think within the first 2 days, we only sold, I think, like 9 NFTs. After leaving the mint open for a year, we sold over 900. So getting that time, getting that effort, and putting it out there, for an extended period of time, it just made a big difference. And then we had something to work with, right? Because all of these collections are just a base, right? They're the start of a brand that you can take and use and build upon. And I think that's the one thing that isn't tapped into enough in Web3 is using the NFT as a starting point to build more. Every collection has a story that it can tell. Every collection has a story that can be, created by the community as well as the creator, and you can do so much with it because not only do you have art, you have data. And so, like with the Nordic Glory collection, we took that data, and I had a concept for a card game in my mind. And so I thought, we have all these data points. The Nordic Glory collection averages between 19 and 30 traits per NFT. So I took a number of those traits, used them as variables. These are the variables I'm going to use to make the rules for the card game. And then we took all that metadata and I redesigned, basically, in a way, redesigned the NFT, right? So instead of, the metal type on the axe being this visual, now what it is an attack value, right? And so all these values added up determine the attack for the shield. All the metal types on the shield determine the defense for the shield. There's different symbols, there's different runes, there's different element colors. I didn't name them. It's not red, blue, green. It's flame, sea, spirit, night, all these different things that you can have like a visual representation of. And so then what we did was we created a data merge using InDesign and then the metadata. And basically within a day, we created the art for over 900 cards, rather than having to draw each one out individually or change each one individually. I have some props. I got my props. So this is the beta box for Nordic Glory in the works. It'll be coming out soon.
I'm gonna flip your camera so that
the right please.
Way. Boom.
There we go. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And there's a good story about it. It's about the Einherjar, who are the warriors selected by the Valkyries to go to Valhalla to prepare for the ultimate confrontation at Ragnarok. And the beta box will come with 2 playable decks, as well as a nice, awesome game board. It's kind of a unique card game in the sense that there's not 2 separate turns. There's like one simultaneous turn where certain actions take place, before each player. So these would kind of face each other in a sense. And then to simulate battle, a lot of games are turn-based where it's like, hey, you go, and then I go, and then you go, then I go, but a battle's happening at the same time, right? So the turn is very unique in that sense. We have a bunch of the shield cards here. So you can see, if you go check out the NFT collection on Magic Eden, each one of these shields is thought I had all these the right way, is a specific NFT actually. And we even have the NFT number in the
that's cool,
in the bottom corner. And you can see your shield and you can see what it looks like And hey, you know, maybe in the future you can upgrade your shield, maybe, and we'll change the actual physical card in the card game that people can get. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not
No,
gonna say for
I
sure.
absolutely
Yeah.
love that, Tyler. I feel like there's so many cool threads we can like pull on. First off, appreciate you for giving us that intro. I'm gonna just say I think your story is similar to a lot of people who have had their own challenges individually and then come to Web3 and not only as a career, but in addition to that, found a place for them to thrive and succeed, which I think is really cool. Your story as getting into live streaming is huge and like taking that vulnerable step. I love trading cards. Like that's like my end all be all, like one of my favorite things. So I'm unbelievably like love like that side of things. But I know there's a lot of things that you said that are part of your story that are actually very similar to B. So I'm sure B has a couple of questions up his sleeve, and I want to hear his thoughts because you know, like there's a lot of similarities, which is really cool to hear. And I think at this moment you said all of the data you're combining into the variables for the stats game, like both of our ears perked up. So like that, yeah, like that's really cool. I don't know, B, if you have a question, but yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Tyler, for sharing your story, man. Just want to say first and foremost, man, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you beat that battle. And now you're cooking up in the NFT space, building your own trading card game. Like, no, you're with family right here. Like this, we love to hear, you know, people that are intentional about, you know, utilizing the technology as the new cool medium that it is to be able to pair, you know, dev work, math work, you know, JSON files and traits and all kind of craziness along with the art and build this story, build this lore. Yeah, man, I'm locked in for sure. I'm locked in. So yeah, very cool. I didn't really have a question. I was just
Well, why
vibing.
don't you share with us more about the game?
Yes,
Yes, for
for
sure.
sure. So I guess I'll share a little bit more on the game. The biggest thing, so one of the biggest things with the game that I wanted to do was, you know, a lot of the brand name, I'll call them brand name NFT collections, you know, the ones that people tend to flock towards, they have high-end utility, right? It's some
Just
form
really,
of way.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I actually now do have a question that I think you just spurred. One things you said that was super important in your 30 minutes. Blue chip, every single NFT gets scared of making anything new because they think it dilutes their brand. But you explained it best at the beginning is if you're building for the long term, when you build on top of it, it actually is a huge upgrade to your brand. So like that's one of the coolest things you tapped into. And I think like with that bigger vision, it creates an understanding of like how pieces fit together and then like it's part of a bigger story as opposed to a bunch of different things that you're like quote unquote diluting. I think it's a really cool additive factor, right? And it's just on your perspective of how you look at it, right?
Right, and I think it's huge too for where you come from, right? Are you a Fortune 500 company launching an NFT collection, or are you a small time artist with 100 followers? You know what I mean? And understanding that this is a process, right? And an NFT is simply an asset that your business can utilize to help it grow in a unique way. It doesn't need to be the sole purpose of it. You know, a lot of people are having this transition from, you know, early on, at least it was very much of, hey, we're going to go full-time Web3, right? We're going to be transitioning from Web2 to Web3, and we're going to be in this digital space. Why not use the utility of this digital space to affect and impact and change a real world thing? And I think that's becoming much more the reality now after a couple of years. I feel like the more and more collections are doing things based off of real world, you know, interactions, and whether it's a product or a place or, you know, an experience or something that you can do. We're going to that direction, and that's what I needed more of. I needed more of that utility in terms of, well, what do I get for buying this, right? You know, obviously we have a community chair. It's called the Healing Wallet, and so a percentage of all of our sales go to this Healing Wallet. A percentage of all the royalties go to the Healing Wallet, and it's a wallet that is, you know, being saved right now for when we are in a bull market, so that we can utilize those funds for group benefit in terms of mental health focused events, We do a lot of charity auction donations to impact mental health and things like that. And then, just self-growth in any way, shape, or form. And we'll let the community kind of push those. But I wanted each collection to have its own sense of why buy a Nordic Glory NFT over a Johnny Folk Hero NFT, which I haven't gotten into Johnny yet either. And that's a huge part of all this too. Nordic Glory is a world that is still being written, right? It's still being created. Obviously, we have thousands of years of lore to go off of, but by owning a Nordic Glory NFT, you get to put yourself in the game. You get to play the game and be like, hey, I wish I could do this. Well, come on out, let's make a card that does that, and now we can do that. And so it's going to be very much player driven in terms of the evolution of the game and how it will change, and not necessarily a alteration, but more an addition. So we'll keep adding more to it so that play styles can change, the stories can be changed. So a lot of the cards in here were created by holders. A lot of the characters in here are inspired by holders and their stories and things like that. And then we mix it up with the lore and just have a really interesting time there. Let me find a few examples here if I can snag through. Let's see.
It's such an amazing new thing that we're able to do too, is get these communities involved in Web3 and NFTs. We were scared of saying like investors for whatever reason, but it was like super supporters in the community. I'm not afraid to call my day ones investors into helping build this community, build this lore, build this story. And it's I think it's really cool to see us being in the Web3 space, to be able to collaborate with the community that you're building or the community that's supporting you. It's groundbreaking, man. So I'm excited.
I appreciate that. Well, and that's because there's a huge difference between someone just buying your NFT and someone buying your NFT and being involved in the community. And everyone is in this space for a different purpose, right? Someone might be here because they want to make money really fast. Someone might be here because they like collecting and supporting artists, work and things like that. Someone might be here because they really like Viking themed card games. You never know. But like here's an example. There's a holder, community member named Mad Fisher. And so we made a card called The Mad Fisher, and we worked on some art together. For some of the art, we are using Midjourney, but the cool thing is because I'm an illustrator, we use Midjourney as a starting point, and then we get something that we can work with. And then I have a very adaptive illustration style where I can draw based on what I want it to be and the style I want it to fit. And so I can, get the art, get it as a starting point, go in, fix all the issues, take away the 6 fingers and the wonky eyes and all that, change the color for the mood that we want, add things in that weren't there, and really get custom and creative with it. Definitely open to collaboration with different communities. We did a lot in the past, and I've had good experiences and not good experiences, and not that they weren't good experiences. It just I've learned after being in the space for 4 years that there's a lot of come and go, right? You get in and you dive in heavy into the deep end, and then you realize maybe I don't like to swim, and I'm going to get out of the pool. And so it kind of is, a mix here and there, but always down for collaborations. We did a lot of collaborations with the Johnny Folk Hero collection. And
why don't you tap into the Johnny Folk Hero collection a little bit more as well?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to go because that's what got the game started, right? I did these, I called them community creations, and it was a very unique gaming art collaborative experience where I would do a live stream and I would have a plethora of games. So we would have like Plinko, Dice, cards, Magic 8 Ball, Battleship, Connect 4, Jenga, like all these random games, right? And you would go through this turn. So it's Zal's turn. He's got to pick a tooth on the Crocodile Dentist for me to hit. If it doesn't bite me, he gets to go to the next phase of that turn. And each turn is determining a single trait on this NFT. So then say you go to Battleship, you hit a ship, you unlock a rare trait. If you don't hit a ship, then we go to a random generator, maybe dice or Plinko, to determine the base trait that would show up. So maybe you're picking what shirt he has, you know, and we would go through this whole like 2-hour gaming session of this just random chaos of people coming in from all over the world. And we'd end up with a Johnny, which I'll get into Johnny. I realize I didn't get there yet, but we'd end up with this piece of artwork that we had no idea what it was going to look like when we started. And now it's a complete one-of-a-kind piece that wouldn't have been what it was if everyone didn't show up. And I think it's a huge emphasis on community, on what you can build together, on how you don't realize the power that we all have to, you know, when we're working together until you actually get in there and do the work. And we can have fun while we're doing the work too at the same time. So I don't have a prop to show Johnny. I could share some screenshots later, but Johnny Folk Hero is based off of, ooh, hey, there you go. If you scroll down, yeah, there you go. Actually, yeah, right there, Johnny Folk Hero. You can click on the mint now there. Johnny is a play off of Johnny Appleseed. And the whole idea was that heroes come in a time of need, right? And if some of the classic American folk heroes were to come back now, how would they appear now? Would they be doing the same thing that they were doing 100 years ago, 200 years ago? I don't think so. The world was a lot different place, you know? And so Johnny came out of a time, I actually created the original character in 2016, and it was a very divisive time, and it still feels like that now, where families are, you know, not with their families, and friends aren't with their friends. And if he was to come back now, he would be spreading seeds of love, right? And when we created the NFT collection, it needed to be more than that. It needed to be more than just love. And so he spread seeds of peace, love, happiness, and positivity. And he is a vagabond in the 1920s, 1930s. He's on a mission. That's all he thinks about. That's all he does. He just walks the land, spreading seeds of peace, love, happiness, and positivity. He doesn't care about himself. He doesn't care about his well-being, about finding his next meal or his next place to sleep. He's just making sure that everywhere he goes, he leaves behind that place in a better place than what it was before. And so a lot of my original live streams was creating that collection. We started with just the base original character, and I showed people the whole process. Like, hey, what should we do now? Let's draw a new beard. Let's draw 8 beards. Let's draw a bunch of shirts, you know, and showing them the time it takes. Like when you see someone spend 8 hours drawing just a sweater for a character, and then you mint that sweater, it's like, oh, wow, I got the sweater. And I know how long it took because I saw him draw every single line, you know? And so then we took all the traits after we built it, and then the holders would get access to win the community creations that we would make. We did 70 live creations over about a year time. And then we stopped to just keep those what they were. And now we're sending Johnny through time. So I'm doing a bunch of new Johnny Folk Hero art every Saturday night, and we're sending Johnny to all these different places in time. And then we're going to do a Lost in Time collection where the time warp goes wrong, and he's going a mix of places, and everything's coming in together. And the cool thing with the community creations too is at the end of each stream, someone would get to choose something new that we would draw that wasn't in the mint. It was only on the community creations, and that was the only way to get it. And then it was available as a rare trait drop in those creations moving forward. So, you know, you might come in and say, hey, let's give him a vest. Johnny needs a vest. And then 2 weeks later, you see him get the vest again, and you're like, oh, that's my vest, you know. And it's just fun. It's connective, and it gives everyone a say and you know, something into the art. I try to cut all ego out of my art and allow for critique and everything throughout the entire process. And that's made me a better artist, and it helps other people connect to what I'm doing, because it's a place where, you know, we all have a say, and you're going to see something better than I'm going to see something, you know, just based on your life experience, you know, and how familiar you are with something, you know. And so got a lot of fun stuff in the works for Johnny's future as well. But there's some fun apparel on my Threadless, as well as with a bunch of Skull of Tiger art and some Nordic art, more and more coming there. I got a board game in the works. We're also working on some live action role playing type Johnny adventures, where basically you think D&D, spreading peace, love, happiness, and positivity, but then you can alter your NFT by collecting rare traits and working together as a community. Some fun things like that. And yeah, it really solidifies too for me the mission statement of why I'm here, right? And it goes back to Skull of Tiger with the mental health awareness. Let's acknowledge what we're going through, and then let's make things better, and let's heal together.
Yeah. Boom. Well said. I love it. Yeah, dude, everything that you said is amazing. I think there's a lot of really cool places to tie it in. We will 100% need to get you in some more of our Zao live streams and get some more info and more in depth on some of the intricacies of the game. But for now, first off, I want to say I think Prism had a couple cool comments in here. The MIDI Punks have an evil Viking character called Ragnar, the MIDI Punks actually are one of my favorite Web3 collaboration communities. Like, we've actually collaborated with them with a couple cool things. We did a Zao song, a song competition to see who could get more people on a song from our two communities, and then we made two songs called Side by Side, one for the MIDI Punks, one for the Zao, and we actually made an NFT as well that you can customize called Zalora. You should definitely tap in with the MIDI Punks. I think it would be a phenomenal opportunity because they're a really fun, interesting group that, like, their whole unique thing that they do in the space that no one else does nearly to the degree is collaborative songs. Songs of Eden is an amazing artist and kind of just has people submit like their voice to him and just mixes it all in, and it sounds phenomenal and it's a blast. I actually have it here. Maybe we'll have to play it on the way out. But no, they're awesome. I definitely want to just have you make sure you share your socials and where people can connect with you. I know you said you go live on Saturdays. I believe it's in your Discord. If we can, let me see if I can find that. I'll send that here in the chat as well, so we make sure we get that out. But
TylerMcNair.com has all my social links, has all the links to the different various websites, to the Skull of Tiger website, to the Nordic Glory trading card website. That's kind of like the main hub. And then we have a lot more always in the work. There's a white paper you can access through there, which is more than a white paper. It's like a whole Wikipedia site, basically. I'd love to connect. I'd love to learn more about what everyone else is doing and how it kind of can fit and tie together in not just one way, but multiple ways. Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. And follow me. I'll follow you back if anyone follows me, obviously, and we can kind of work through their messaging. And Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Central on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Tyler McNair. I do it on TikTok as well, but Twitch has the better view, and then you can hear the music and everything as well. I'm a musician as well, not heavy musician, more of a dabbling, healing, kind of using it as a trauma support kind of thing. But we do make a lot of AI music that we write the lyrics for, but we base it off of what we're drawing, or we base it off of something that happened that week, or we base it off of how someone's feeling, or things like that. And so it turns into like all these sort of inside joke, sort of like if you were there, kind of songs that we kind of have playing and things like that. And so it's a lot of fun. There's, just a lot of songs associated to Johnny, a lot of Nordic songs, a lot of, songs based on if I was drawing, one night I was drawing shadows on a bunch of grass. So we made a song called Shadows in the Grass, and just like randomness. So it's fun. It's a good time.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Tyler. Onaj, you got any last questions?
No last questions. I'm definitely gonna tap in with you, especially on Twitch. Like, we've been on this live streaming journey since April, so yeah, I'll definitely show some love and spread you out to the network. But I'm excited to see you cook up on live on stream in the Discord, all that good stuff. So absolutely,
1,000,000%. Okay, do you want to raid someone up, Onaji B? real quick on our way
We
out?
can, yeah, we can. We can.
I'm gonna
Or
raid Yoni.
I
That's
just
our
want to,
big
real
dog
quick, I
Yoni.
just want to
Yeah,
say
go for
thank
it.
you. I want to say thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you reaching back out to me and giving me the opportunity to speak for a little bit. And obviously, I have a lot more to share always. Just ADHD, it's one of those things. It's you got a lot going on and never enough time to get it out. And I felt like I talked the whole time, and I wanted to hear more from you guys too.
No, we will definitely be
yeah.
streaming a lot more coming into this 2026 period. Both Onaji and I have had a blast this year tapping in a little more, and I think there's a lot more things that can be done over there, especially on the collab side from the Web3 folks. Like there's just so many cool things that can be done on the live streaming side. So we appreciate that. Appreciate you. I'm ready to rock if you are. B.
yeah.
Cool.
Amazing having you, Tyler. I'll definitely have to have a part 2, part 3
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Appreciate everyone for popping in. Thanks, Prism. Thanks a couple of the other folks. We had Shaw. We had a couple other people. Andre. All the amazing folks.